Good morning, sir.
Morning. Happy New Month. Happy New Month, everyone. And thank God for life. We're also happy to inform us that the class is drawing to an end. Okay. So today, the last time we met, we were able to look at chapter 15. Okay. I did an overview of chapter 14, that is reporting. Then I went on to look at chapter 15, looking at current issues in auditing. We look at the regulatory audit approach, okay, or audit framework. Is it an ethical framework or a rule book approach? We look at that. We looked at transnational audit. We also look at transnational audit committee. We went on further to discuss environmental reporting and social reporting, okay? And we also look at the exemption, okay, for small companies statutory audit. What are the benefits it serves to the small companies, okay? Because as 2020 or in the 2020 uh, Companies and Other Matters Act as amended, specifically made provision or removed that clause. Before now, there's a clause in the in CAMA 2020 in the Companies and Allied Matters Act that specifies that a company should be, once you have a company, after 1 year, you should subject the company to external auditing or statutory audit. But since the amendment to the 2020 Companies and Allied Matters Act, right? That clause has been removed. So what you have there now is that it is not compulsory, okay? It's not compulsory that your company should be audited, especially for small companies, okay? So I will look at all of that last class. Now, today at the final chapter, okay, in this final chapter in this our advanced audit and assurance study text or syllabus. All right. And that chapter is application of information technology in auditing. And this is the last chapter of your syllabus. This is the chapter that was introduced when the syllabus was revised, okay, in 2021. And so I know that most of us, we don't like this aspect of the syllabus, anything that has to do with IT. But I must explain to us that when question comes from this area or this aspect of the syllabus, the questions are usually cheap, right? Then number two, there is no, they don't play hacking panking with the question. The question is always direct, okay? So that is why you can utilize or you can gain some marks if you attempt questions that comes from this particular chapter. That is, if you see any question that comes from this chapter in your exam, okay? But like I said, before now, it used to be 5%, but IT is now 10% of in the advanced audit and assurance syllabus. So you might likely have a question, okay? It might be the question that is like 15 marks, okay, in your exam in this diet. Okay, but I'm not a soothsayer. I'm not saying that it's certain, but it is likely, it's probable. So just prepare your mind and please open your mind. Okay, and thank God that this class is recorded, so you can listen to this over and over again to be able to have an understanding of what this chapter is all about. And I need to say also that some of the things we'll be discussing in this chapter, for some of us, we might not have been exposed to this aspect of IT, and that is the fact. Okay, so that's why some of these things will sound strange when we start, but I'll try as much as possible to break it down and make it relatable, okay, to every one of us. And if you have any question or you need clarification, you can easily uh, ask in the course of the lecture, okay? And I'll be available. I will avail myself the explanation, okay, necessary to be able to improve your understanding on this particular area because this area is highly technical. I must be frank with us, but we don't have anything other than for us to watch to do it. It's part of the syllabus, okay, and that is why for us at equity professional, we always try to cover the syllabus, no matter what, because we can never can tell where the examiner is going to focus on or where he's going to set questions from. So we don't want to leave our students hanging in examination. So let's try and cover the syllabus, and that's one of our primary objectives, okay, and mandate. So let's go on. So, like I said, this also is looking at how IT has impacted the audit environment, okay? How IT has impacted the audit environment. And like I said, as time goes on, as the year advance, as we uh, grow in years, okay, as a people, as the world, okay, as the world advance in age, more of these our auditing activities will be intertwined with IT, and it's only those that refuse to take up the challenge to incorporate IT in their everyday life that we left hanging. Okay, you cannot do without IT. I must say, it makes our life easier. So let's look at it and see how it has impacted the audit environment. Some of the areas we'll be looking at are what we have here. We have the cloud-based accounting system. We have the artificial intelligence and robotics. We have blockchain technology, and we have social media. There are still more, okay? These are just some of the things we'll be looking at. The first one is cloud computing technology. Now, what do you mean by cloud computing technology? If you are very observant, right, for those of us that uh that work in an office, you will agree with me now that if you compare like 5, 10 years ago to what is obtainable today, you will see that our server, we always call it server on premise. That is, you have a dedicated office where we use as our server room. Okay, we always see that they will say do not enter unless you are an authorized personnel. So it's a server room that warehouses our server. And you see that in that, for those of us that have been able, unfortunately, to gain access to that room, you see that they have a rack there. That rack has a fan installed in it. And you always see that that place is usually very, very cold, because where you have a server, if it's not properly aerated or it's not cool enough, it can lead to what? Spark. Okay? If the heat is too much because of the resources that is being generated, it can make the whole place to go aflame. Okay? It can set the whole place on fire. That's why you say that that place is very cold. It's just like when you are in a cold room, okay, where they keep frozen food, cold room, right? That is the way our server is. You remember, for those of us that have started work in those periods, I said 10 years ago, you always have a server room, where they tell you that it's not everybody that can access it, okay? When you have the IT administrator, will be the one that is in charge of that room. However, in this present day and age, that era has gone. We don't have server on premise again. What we do now is that we have our server stored in the cloud. Okay. For instance, now your Google Drive that you are using, the one you can relate with, your Google Drive, your your iPhone storage. Okay, it is stored in the what? In the cloud. So what does that mean? What does that portend? So before now, when the server was on premise, if you want to do anything on the server as a staff, you have to go to the office and connect to the server. So if you are not in the office, you can't have access to the server. So that creates a limitation of what? Freedom. So you must always be at your desk. Okay, that's one of the disadvantages, or one of the things that led to the innovation of what? Cloud-based computing, cloud-based computing. So what we mean by this is that rather than for you to have your server on premise, you have your server stored in the cloud. And you agree with me, for those of us that are working in offices, they will tell you that you save your documents in the cloud now. Your SharePoint is stored in the cloud. your repository is stored in the cloud. So what that means is that as an accounting software, if you are using an accounting software, right, everything that you need to do, anything that you do on the accounting software is stored in what? In the cloud. So when the auditors come, right, you give the auditor access to the cloud storage. All right, you give the auditor what? Access to the what? To the cloud storage. So what that means is that as an auditor, it does not need to be there in your office to be able to access your cloud storage. Okay, you can access your cloud storage remotely. Okay, you can access your storage remotely. But one vital feature that you cannot play with this cloud-based computing is that it is only possible, it's only practicable when you have what? Internet connection. When there's no internet connection, you cannot have access to your server because it's in the cloud. So you must have internet connection at all times. How many of us have heard of Starlink, that ISP that is being managed or that is owned by Elon Musk? You know that is in Nigeria now, Starlink connection. Okay. For those of us that have been privileged to use Starlink, you see that it's not like MTN, it's not like Airtel, it's not like uh, Nine Mobile or Glo. What I'm saying here is that with Nine Mobile or all those ones, the telcos we have in Nigeria, you can see that when power goes off on the modem, you can still have access to your internet for the next maybe an hour or two before the thing will finally go off. Or if you want to, or that will afford you the opportunity to be able to do what? To go and change over to another source of power supply. So you will not lose internet there. There will not be any disruption at all. But in the case of Starlink, it is, you must always have power. Once there is no power, you don't have access to it. So what I'm trying to say is that the connection, there's a connection between the cloud-based server and the internet connectivity or the internet connection. Okay. So even audit software too, they are now cloud-based. So that means that as auditors, you don't need to remember one of the things that led to this was the pandemic era. You remember in the pandemic era, the auditors, they couldn't go to their offices because of what? Social distancing. They were working from what? Home. And that was when all of this was what? Was fine-tuned. So as at that time, I know of an audit firm that is Deloitte. So at that time, before 2020, their office at Ozubangbadiwe, they occupy about three or four stories there. But after that COVID, they only occupy maybe two or one because they saw the need that you don't need to be physically present to get your work done. You understand? You can work what? Remotely. So all the auditors during that pandemic, they were working remotely with their clients. And that is one of the beauty of what? Of technology that was brought forth, that was made possible by the what? By the COVID pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. So that is why all softwares now, accounting software, all this software, they are what? They are now cloud-based. In fact, that is more marketable. So what that means is that anywhere, anytime, you can have access to your information on your server. You don't need to be restricted to a physical place. Even if you are abroad, you are not in Nigeria, you can connect to your server remotely. Where you have the what? You have the internet connection. You can connect to your server, your company server remotely. So that's what we mean by cloud-based computing. Okay? I hope that is clear. Okay. So we go to the next one. We look at artificial intelligence and robotics. Now, I don't need to say much about this because this has come to stay. In fact, uh, last week or this, yes, just last week, US has pumped billions of dollars to OpenAI, the owners of ChatGPT. So they are investing massively in artificial intelligence. And what do we mean by artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence, before now, we used to call it artificial intelligence and expert system. So what that means is that you have a computer that is superhuman. You have a computer. So artificial intelligence can be described as what? Having a computer that is what? That can perform a super or greater or bigger task than human, because it is believed that the artificial intelligence uh, is designed, okay, after the human brain. Okay, is designed what after the what the human brain. So what that means is that because it's designed using the human brain, they have also incorporated some features in it that makes it smarter than human. You can see that AI has taken over virtually everything. For those of us that are schooling now, those of us writing exam that are in universities, polytechnics, you see that most students, they want to use what? They use AI to write their projects. They use AI to solve their, what's it called? Their questions, assignments, projects, all of those things, thesis, that's what they use AI to do. So AI is a technology that has come to what? To revolutionize how we handle or how we process data. Is smarter than the what an human can do. An human or a person work for like 8 hours. After the 8 hour, the brain starts to what? To shut down. But for artificial intelligence, it goes on. There is no limit to what artificial intelligence can do. There's no limit. The autonomous vehicle that we have now, when you say that vehicles can drive itself without a driver, you can enter a vehicle. I think that kind of vehicles, they are accessible in Dubai and in US or in some European countries. Okay, so all you need to do is just for you to order your Uber, and your Uber will come and pick you. The Uber does not have a driver, but they have installed artificial intelligence on the what? On the vehicle with robotic technology. If you have ever seen, what's it called? An autonomous vehicle, you see that it has body full of what? Cameras to be able to navigate its way on the street without hitting or causing any accident. That's artificial intelligence. It's also applicable in medicine. In fact, in every walks of life, we have artificial intelligence that is being applied. I just explained now that US last week, Trump, President Trump, just invested huge sum of dollars, money, to what? To advance the artificial intelligence. Before now, we used to have ChatGPT 3.5. Now, the latest one now is ChatGPT 4.5. Okay. So how does this impact the audit work? So now, as an auditor, the software that we use, they have the capacity or capability, okay, of working with what? With AI. So what that means is that all those tasks that are repetitive, right? All those repetitive tasks, the AI can do what? Can quickly help to do what? Help to solve them. Why the auditor we focus on more strategic aspects. Okay. So for instance, Rather than just crunching numbers, auditors will be able to spend more time delivering actionable insights and historical financial data of the what? Of the company. Okay. So what that does is that the volume of work, like it is like for auditors now, external auditors, before now, they review contracts. And when they review client contracts, right, as part of their scope of audit, they can spend days reviewing client contract to be able to see whether the client is exposed in any way. Okay. So what they do now is that there are audit software that have AI capabilities that can review contracts and analyze the contract and pick out where there are what, where there are concerns, or audit risk for the client. So that makes it easier. Okay. So it makes the work easier for the auditor. Rather than auditor to be spending much time these days, their work has been what? Has been streamlined. So they can finish whatever they are doing very fast. Okay. It make it what? To do what? Make it very fast. Another thing that AI has done and AI, artificial intelligence and what it has done is that there's what is called optical character recognition. So what that does is that after the auditor has obtained all this information manually from the client, with this feature, with this technology, the manually obtained data or entries can be converted to what? To digital files. Using what? Using scanners or mobile device camera. Okay? So what do I mean? So if you go to your phone, for those of us that have smartphones, right? Especially Android phones, you see that if you go to your phone, there is an app on your phone. It's called Google Lens. Google Lens. What that Google Lens does is this. So if you have a written, a manually written information or text or note, what you need to do, just click on your Google Lens on your phone and try to, when you open it, the thing will try to what, we try to scan your document. And when it scans it, what it does is that it extracts those manually inputted information. It turns them to what? Digital files. So what does that mean? That is, your manually written document can be transformed into what? Into digital files with the use of what? With the use of this optical character recognition that is contained in that Google Lens. At your own spare time, you can try it. It's there. Just search on your app, Google Lens, and try to type something. No, write something on your paper and try to scan it. You see that that information will be uploaded in a digital format. Okay. So as auditors now, they focus on more strategic areas or strategic aspects of the client business. So that is what robotics, artificial intelligence and robotics uh, has impacted the auditing or the audit environment. I hope that is clear. The next area we want to look at is blockchain technology. What is blockchain technology? Now, for most of us, we are familiar with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, as blockchain technology. Now, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is just an aspect of blockchain technology. All right. In fact, I must tell us that blockchain technology is still at the rudimental stage or introductory stage. They've not been able to uh, unravel, okay, the whole idea of what blockchain technology. But I will tell us what this blockchain technology does for us auditors. Okay. Now, when we talk about blockchain technology, what we are talking about is a decentralized uh, file system. Okay. We are looking at what is a decentralized file system. So what does that mean? So what that means is that I would liken this to your Excel or to your Microsoft Office, any of the Microsoft suite, whether Word, PowerPoint, or whatever, or Excel or Word, any of them. So I'm going to explain it using that. Now, if you look at, let's say you are working in an organization and your boss sent you an Excel file and asked you to do what? To work on it, right? Now, if you look at that file, after working on it, he might ask you to change it, to rename it. For instance, maybe you name it as Mr. Ade data, and you are Miss Chika. Can you now change it to Chika's data? Okay. Now that is Excel. So what if you go and look at the property of that file, you see that the file will obtain your what? You have your name. Immediately you save it, you see your name come up as the new file name. And that means that your boss does not need to give any approval for the file to adopt the new file name. I hope you are getting it. That's blockchain technology. I'm trying to explain blockchain technology. Now, in the case of blockchain technology, what this does is that, why do we call it decentralized? So everybody or anybody that has worked on that file, be it Excel, be it Word, be it any file, right? If somebody is trying to modify the information on that file, all the people that have worked on that file will receive what? Message. All the people that have worked on that file will do what? Will receive message that somebody wants to alter that information. Okay? So what that means is that it allows for what? Accountability, traceability, and it also enhances what? Security. So let's say you are using blockchain technology in the case of your boss's file that was sent to you. Immediately you want to save it, your boss will receive a message or will receive a notification that a file you sent to so and so person is about to be what? Modified. Do you accept that the modification should proceed? So you must approve before the person can continue. Okay? Or in another instance, once the person has done it, you will receive a notification that these are the things another person has modified your work. You will see it there. So what that does is that when it is widely adopted, what that does is that it's going to make it easier to trace information, to trace transactions. Okay, it's going to make it easier to do all of these things. So what that means is that nobody can claim ownership of a document that it did not originate. Okay, nobody can take ownership of document it did not want, it did not originate. So you don't have the power to do it. And like I said, it is still at the introductory stage. Once blockchain technology becomes fully embraced, I can tell you for a fact that all the scammers, all the fraudsters, they will not have any hiding place any longer. Okay? So that is just a synopsis or a summary of what blockchain technology does. Is a technology that utilizes what? Decentralized file system. So it means that if you want to work on a particular file, people that have worked on that file will receive what? Notification before they can alter or modify information on a file. And that's why I use an example of what? Excel, Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Office. Okay? Are we together? Any question? Any comment? Any comment? So the impact this blockchain will have on the auditors is that the auditors may no longer be useful since transactions are recorded in an open and distributed ledger where every party consent is required for the recording to be complete, to be completed. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So that means the auditor that wants to, anything that he wants to, that he normally does it codedly before, everything is now in the open. Everybody can see what the auditor has done or what is about to do, and they must give consent before whatever the auditor wants to do can be what can be effected. Okay, I hope that is clear. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Social media technology. Now, social media technology platforms. What we are seeing here is that auditors now have social media platform where they do what? Where they use to what? Disseminate information. Because in this generation that we find ourselves or that we are in, you will agree with me that this is a generation that does not they value smart work. Okay, they don't believe in you must be hardworking. They believe what they believe is that when you are smart working, you are going to get results. Okay, so imagine you want to send information to your client, to all your clients before now. That means you have to write them. You have to write you have to write letters to send it to as many clients as you have as an audit firm. But you agree with me now that all the audit firms and even the clients, all of them, they have added social media handles to their what addresses. So before now, you will see Deloitte, Ozubamba deal with VI. But most times now, what you see Deloitte and you see their social media and with hashtag. You see what you call hashtag there. So what that means is that if you want to get to know more about any of the audit firms, just click on the hashtag and it will take you to their what? To their social media and you to see at a glance what they've been doing or what they've been up to in the few weeks or few months before now. Okay? So what that does is that it makes it easier and makes it attractive. Okay? Because what that does is that it makes it easier for the client to have access to the what? To the audit firms. Just about 2 months ago, I can send a message on the platform, on the WhatsApp platform, on their WhatsApp platform, and on their social media handles that you don't need to come to their office to carry out any transaction any longer. All you need to do is to access whatever information on their what? On their social media handles. Okay? On their what? On their social media handles. So what that means is that the time wasted on trying to gain access to the audit firms or to the client would have been what? Would have been saved. Okay? So what we are saying here is that this social media technology, it's estimated that some professions will disappear completely, okay, and some will develop more, and new branches of professions that were never known will emerge. As a result, it is inevitable that this system will influence the auditing profession. You can see that the audit firms have also embraced it. I'm not sure there's any audit firm in Nigeria, especially the big four and the small, medium, and the second tier audit firm that don't have their social media handles active. Okay? So all those information that you need to get, you want to make an inquiry, you can get this information from their what? From their social media platforms. And you can see that in these audit firms, they have now employed digital marketer that help them to manage these aspects of their work, of their firm. All the audit firms, they have digital marketers now or social media manager. Their responsibility is to focus on the what? On their social media platforms. That's a new, that's a new profession that emerged as a result of this social media technology, digital marketers and social media managers. Even organizations too now, they are created department, okay, that is responsible for social media handling, okay, social media handling or digital marketing, because they know that for you to be able to remain relevant in this present business world, you must embrace social media technology. And the auditors too, they are fully aware and they have what? They have complied accordingly. Okay? Are we together? Any question, comments, observation?
Awesome.
Okay, so we'll continue. Now let's look at how information technology has impacted the audit process. So remember, the audit process starts from the engagement planning. So IT has contributed in no small measure to making the audit engagement planning to be what? To be easier. Okay? So some of the risk assessment that is done at the planning stage, that preliminary audit risk assessment that is done at the preliminary stage, can be performed by what? By the information technology or the audit software that is embedded or that is in use or that is in operation in the audit firms. Okay? So what that means is that the materiality threshold also, I've explained materiality threshold that's always determined at the planning stage, right? Is can also be utilized, can also be done with what? With the audit software now. All right. But you need to understand that this software is not rocket science. What do I mean by that? The auditors will need to feed in the parameters. So that is how the software works. Not that the software is a wizard like that. Somebody need to set the parameters, don't need to key in information into it. And based on the information that is key into that audit software, that is what is going to work with. That is what is going to turn around, or that is what is going to change to a more concise decision making or the decision for the auditors. Okay, so auditors now, they have introduced information technology in their what? In their audit engagement planning. All right. The second aspect is the audit risk assessment. Now I talk about the preliminary audit risk assessment. So in looking at audit risk assessment, you are going to look at the qualitative and the quantitative. The quantitative are the financial statements, while the qualitative are the ones that does not involve figures. Okay, we call it non-financial performance indicators. We call this non-financial performance indicators. Those are the qualitative ones. For instance, HR. Okay, HR, you'll be looking at the numbers of staff. Okay, you look at the iteration rate, that is the labor turnover rate. How often? Because if the labor turnover rate is high, it's going to impact on the business, it's going to impact on the financial statement eventually. Okay, so we call it qualitative. All right. We are going to another aspect of it is looking at how the person, all those persons that we learned in CSME, okay, the political environment, the economic environment, social-cultural environment, technological environment itself, okay, and the legal environment, how this is going to impact the business. All of this will come under what? Under qualitative. So like I said, what the auditor will do, like I said, we need to be the one to feed the audit software the necessary information. And once you feed it in, the necessary ratios will be what? Will be computed. Necessary ratios will be what? Will be computed. Because the ratios are already on the software and they have parameters. So once the information is there, the application will select, okay, those key data necessary to compute the what? The ratios. All right. So that is what the software has been able to do for the audit firms, especially for the auditors now. All right. But there was a time, it was not was still last year. I think it was late last year. I was asking a student that works in one of these big four. I asked her that has she come across any of these things? Because when I was taking her, I tried to let her also see, just as I'm doing to us now. I now asked her, maybe she has come across any of this. What she told me is that maybe because of her level, right, she has not gotten to that level, to that stage where he sees this thing being practicalized. So, like I said, these are high level information, okay? Unless you are on the at a level or status in an audit firm, before you'll be able to have access to some of these things that we are discussing now. But the advantage for us is that by the time we get to that level now, it will no longer be strange because somebody has already pre-informed you. You're already aware, you already know. So when they are trying to explain it to you, your assimilation rate will be what? Will be faster. And if you are the one that's going to implement it in your audit firm, that means you will be an innovator. Okay? You are going to revolutionize the way the audit is being practiced in your audit firm. And that means that is going to be a remarkable performance for you as an auditor. And these are some of the things that you'll take away from some of these professional exams. Okay? So when you generate that audit the ratios, financial ratio, you also be able to do what? Interpret the ratios. You will help the auditors to do what? Interpret the ratios. Because these are routine tasks. All right. So it makes the life easier for the auditor. The third aspect that the IT has impacted the audit environment is evaluation of internal control. All right. Now, remember that we have looked at computer-assisted audit techniques when we talk about audit software and test data. Now, these two parts, okay, are medium or media in which the auditor will assess or will evaluate the effectiveness and efficiency of the client internal control system. And as a matter of fact, most audit software, right, have been built or manufactured with the capacity to use CAT or to test IT control. All right. IT control in a client environment, whether it is adequate or not. All right. Remember, we talk about audit software and test data in our previous class. That's in chapter 7. Another aspect that IT has impacted the audit process is in the aspect of what? Audit substantive testing. Okay. Now, before now, we use, like I said, we use the substantive testing. But now what we use is what? Test of detailed transaction. Or we call it, or you can use a more advanced one, which we call what? The substantive procedure, which is a combination of test of detailed transaction and analytical review procedures. So what that means is that what they are trying to do is that you want to test whether the information the transactions, the account balances contained in the financial statement is complete, accurate, and does not contain any material misstatement. And also, and more importantly, that all necessary disclosures have been what? Have been made. Okay? So, as auditors, with the understanding or the knowledge of the audit software, you can easily compute the, the ratios. You can use the audit software also to prepare the audit circularization letters, which is used to obtain confirmation from the customers of their outstanding receivables with the client. All right, you can use the audit software to get this done. And also, which is the last part where the IT has impacted the audit process, is in the audit reporting. Okay, the auditors, after they have obtained all the necessary, sufficient, and appropriate audit evidence, the auditor is able to write a report. And sometimes that report takes time because it's going to collate, it's going to interpret, it's going to analyze the uh, audit evidence obtained. But with the use of the audit software now, right, it makes it easier. What they don't need to do is just to upload all the audit working paper on the what? On the audit software and give specific instructions to the audit software. And the audit report will be generated in line with the specification of the what? Of the auditor. Because there are different templates, there are different audit report templates on the software. So based on the instructions given by the engagement partner or the auditor, right? It saves the auditor a whole lot of headaches, all right? So that is, those are the areas. So the first area that the IT has impacted the process is the audit planning. Second one is the risk assessment process. Third one is evaluation of the internal control. Fourth one is the auditing, substantive testing. And the fifth one is audit report. I hope that is clear. Any question, comment, observation? Any comment, question, or observation? Okay, so I think I want to read that everybody is fine. Okay, so another aspect we need to look at is information technology tools applicable in assurance services. So as auditors, right? When you go to audit your client, some of these tools, IT tools, right, comes handy. IT tools come handy for the auditors. Okay, some of those tools, which I call software, and what you want to discuss now. One of them is the Gantt chart software. Now, before now, remember the Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is a chart that shows uh, how project is planned and how the project can be completed because it shows different milestones. That is the original design of the Gantt chart. For those of us that did QT, quantitative techniques or quantitative analysis at various levels in our educational pursuit, right? Now, we now have a Gantt chart software. So what that does is that it assists the auditor in drawing up what because every audit engagement is a project. So it will assist the auditor to design a project, audit engagement project, where the auditor will be able to specify the various milestones. Milestone means level of completion. Okay? Level of completion. So you are going to have the start date. Okay? You are going to define the audit activities. You are going to define the audit team members. All these are information you are going to feed into the software. They are not inbuilt. No audit software has the name of your audit staff. You are the one that is going to populate it with their appropriate what? experience and what? Qualifications. So based on that, we analyze and select an audit team that best suits that particular audit engagement. All right. Then it will also contain the start and finish date of each audit activity. Okay. It's going to show the link and relationship between audit activities. You are going to have the engagement dependencies. Okay. There are so many tasks that are dependent on one another. All right. There are some tasks that is given to the audit manager, and there are some that task that's given to the audit manager will form an input to the engagement partner. All right. So what serves as an output to one audit staff becomes an input to another audit staff. That we mean by engagement dependencies. And the end date of the audit engagement. And you also need to, it also allow you to identify critical path to an engagement. That is the most sensitive aspect of the work of the engagement. Remember, when we study Gantt chart, the main essence of us that we study Gantt chart, you see most time the question will tell us that identify or calculate the critical what, the critical part. All right. So these are the things. This is how the auditor is able to fast track his audit process by using the Gantt chart software. All right. Another set of software that auditor utilizes is what we call the risk analysis tool pack. Risk analysis tool pack. Now remember, I talked about preliminary audit risk assessment. Now, as an auditor, before you audit any client, you must have gained understanding of the client business. It's very, very important. Now, with your understanding of the client business, we are now going to deploy a risk management or risk analysis tool that will help the auditor, okay, to assess the risk that the client business is open to, both qualitatively and what? Quantitatively. That is, you're going to look at it from the angle of what? The financial statement. You are going to look at it from the angle of what? The non-financial financial performance or non-financial financial information. Some of the risk management tools the auditor can use, we have the GRC Cloud Resolver, we have the Spiral Span, you have the Enablon, you have the Check-It, you have the Analytica, you have Risk Management Studio, you have AI Tracker, you have AI Tracker, okay? And more importantly, like I said, most of our audit software, they have been built with what? With risk analysis technology or risk management capabilities. Okay. So, like I said, all you just need to do is to be able to what? To understand, to undergo training on how to utilize all of this to obtain a good report at the end of the audit engagement. All right. Some of the features you have on this risk management tools are their web-based application and good user interface. What do we mean by that? What that means is that if you go to the web, you go to the URL, you know that place called URL, Universal Resource Locator. You go there, that place you normally type www, that place, okay. So what they are saying here is that most of these risk management software, they are web-based. That is, they are not, yeah, you don't need to install it on your system. Okay, you can access it using what? Once you have the URL address, that address, okay, you can, and you put it on that URL, you'll be able to get it to work. All right. And they also talk about good user interface. Good user interface means it's also the same thing as graphic user interface. An example of graphic user interface is our Windows, our what's it called? Um, Microsoft Office is an example of a graphic user interface. Because you see that all you need to do is just for you to click on buttons, click on buttons, click on buttons. You are not writing any program. Okay? That's why you call it graphic user. That means graphic means something you can see, Something that is appealing to the what? To the user. Okay? Imagine we are using command prompt to work on our system. How many of us could still be using computer? That command prompt, you understand that command prompt, that thing that we used before, I've forgotten the name they call it. Where you use everything will just be in form of what? In form of syntax. You'll be writing programs before you want to design anything, you have to write syntax. You understand what I'm saying? But most of these things now can be done using what? Using the graphic user interface. Then another feature of this is that scalability and ease of integration with other solutions. So when you talk about scalability, what does it mean? It can easily be what? Expanded. You can expand is what? Its mode of operation. You cannot, you might have started with what? Your accounts department. It's not something that you want to use it for in a HR, you want to use it in IT, you want to use it in legal. You can expand the what? The usability. That's what they mean by what? Scalability. And it's easy to what? Integrate with any other application or solution. So that means your ERP, accounting software, can work seamlessly with this. Okay. Then thirdly, you always have the risk dashboard. So a risk dashboard is a quick snapshot of risk issues in a single view. So for those of us that drives, or you have seen a dashboard on a car, dashboard, if you are a driver, if you don't pay close attention to the dashboard, before you know it, you are going to wreck that car. Because the dashboard tells you every needed information about the car. The car will not shout, but we expect you to read the what? The dashboard. So the same thing you are talking about now. So for organizations that have the risk management tool pack, right? They have the luxury of having what? A dashboard that can give an overview of all the risk issues that are obtainable within the what? Organization. Like I said, these are based on the information imputed on the what? On the software. Okay. Then it has inbuilt support for risk mitigation activities. So what that means is that with all those risk issues that have been identified, it also provide ways of reducing them. Okay, it provides ways of what? Reducing them. Like I said, you cannot eliminate risk, only reduce them. Now, what do we mean by what? Mitigating or mitigation activities. Then, more importantly, it has what we call the risk audit trail. That is, you can trace the origin of a transaction or an account balance or any information once you have this risk management tool pack. Then it supports all generations of Word, Excel, PDF, HML, HTML format. Okay. It also supports printing and emailing the risk report to various stakeholders. So what that means is that when you open this website where you have this risk management tool, when you generate the report, you can export that report to other users or to other responsible parties. Then it also supports auto alert system on risk related updates. Auto alert system means that those you have your risk mapping, or you have your risk register, right? You have your risk metrics. You start from the low is always on green, the yellow is always on what? Medium. Then you have the orange as what? High. Then you have the red as very high. So the one that is green, which is low, means that you can resolve it within 3 months or more than 2 months. The one that is on yellow means that you can resolve it within less than a month. The one on orange, which is high, you can resolve within 2 weeks. Then the one that is on red means that you cannot afford to waste 2 days without resolving. Otherwise, it's going to be counterproductive for the organization. That's what I'm saying. So they will have designed those risk factors along that risk matrix. So when you see red, it means that you have to quickly attend to it. All right. Then it supports both qualitative and quantitative risk assessment. I've explained that earlier. Then data entry support by paper, browser, and mobile app. Yeah, that one is clear. All right. So that is for the what do you call it? The risk management tool pack. The next area I want to look at now is the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. Now, how did we find ourselves in this area? Now, there is what is called data privacy in abroad, and their own regulation there is GDPR. That is General Data Protection Regulation. So our own is not far from this GDPR. Okay, is the fallout of GDPR. What we just need that we just localize it to reflect our own local content. All right. So what this GDPR or NDPR, what they do is that they tend to protect, okay, the privacy of individuals, the privacy of information. All right. It tends to protect the what? The privacy of individuals, the privacy of what? Information. All right. Now, what that implies is that because you have some apps, okay, that you interface with or you use daily, and because while you are trying to sign up on that app, there were certain information that they required from you, like about data, your name, your sex, your age, religion, and so many other information, your address, all those things are there. And sometimes your own personal information, sometimes you have your private picture, private photo, or private document that you have stored on this web or this app. Okay. So what that means is that because they are they are the owners of your data or they have access to your data, that shouldn't give them the uh the opportunity to transmit your data, your own private information to the public without your consent. And where there is a breach in that data privacy, such individual or such organization can sue that organization or the agency that diverges that information that is private. Hope you are getting it. It's like you're having a meeting with a friend, okay? And because you want to obtain certain information from your client, from your friend, you now decide to do what? Record the conversation without telling your client that you are recording their conversation or the conversation. That guy or that friend has the right to sue such individual for recording their conversation without seeking his what? Permission to what? To record. That is why when they are making calls and the call is on speaker, you see that if a true professional will tell you that they want to confirm some information, a true professional will tell the people at the other end that our phone is on what? On speaker. Means that everybody can hear you. So speak up or say whatever you want to say, that everybody can hear you. All right. So some of those organizations, example, Facebook, some of us have private information on our Facebook accounts. Some have their private information, okay, which ordinarily should not be leaked. But there have been instances where there are breaches in security or breaches in data privacy that such information got to the world, got to the public. And this information is now being used as a tool against such individual or such organization. Okay, so that is why Nigeria has, um, and that's what we are discussing. We'll come back to this one. That is why Nigeria, in its own as a country, has come up with what we call the NDPR. Okay, we call it the what? I'll come back to this one. Don't worry. I'll come back to this one. These ones are not much. The Nigerian Data Protection Regulation on 25th January 2019. As we speak, the level of compliance is still low, but I know that a day will come or a time will come when there will be full enforcement of this regulation. Okay, so the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation is a law. It's a regulation that was introduced by the National Information Technology Development Agency, and what they are after is to what? Is to protect the information or data of what? Of Nigerians. All right. So what this says is that all those institutions that have access to our information, like the banks, immigration, telecommunications, the LRS, the FRS, all of them, our information is with them. Okay. So what it says is that because they have access to our information, that does not give them the liberty to transmit our information without our consent. If they should do so, if they should so do, such client or such individual or such organization can sue for what? For data privacy breach. All right. So can sue for what? Data privacy breach. So as an organization, it is expected that we should comply with this Nigerian data protection regulation. That is, you must not divulge any information that belongs to your client without their consent. We are not looking at it from the angle of crime now. Remember, in confidentiality, we said that the principle of confidentiality can be sidelined where there are criminal issues involved. Remember, so it's not that one I'm talking about now. I hope you understand. All right. So you must always seek consent, okay, before you decide to uh, release client sensitive information. And NDPR also, they have mandated organizations, okay, to ensure that once they have more than 1,000 data subjects, okay, in a period of 6 months, they should be able to do what? They should be able to carry out what's it called? Data protection audit. All right. So what that means is that data subject refers to uh, information that is available. Okay, information that is available. Information that is available to the tune of the fact that you're looking at the number of persons. All right. Once you have persons that are more than 1,000, you must carry out a data protection audit. Okay, and be sure that you don't violate any of this information that is being entrusted in your care. All right. That is what they mean by that. And also, they have some other organizations still under the NITDA that they call them Data Protection Compliance Organization. All right. So what they do is that they are licensed professionals that have been trained. They have undergone training on data privacy, and they have the license, they have the mandate, they have certificate to go around organizations, okay, and see that the organizations that they have visited comply with the NDPR. All right, comply with what? The NDPR. Then you have the data protection officers. Now, these people, they are um, they are employed, okay, to And to be sure, their main role is to ensure that as an organization, all the necessary information that needs to be protected have been classified as what? Protected information. Okay? They will go to organizations and sieve out information. Not all information should be protected. Okay? For the instance, now your financial statement, what the financial statement, you cannot, it's not protected. You have to make it to the public, especially for the publicly listed entities. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, but there's another information that should be protected. Those ones, they are the ones that are going to ensure that the information that ought not to be divulged to the public is not divulged. And the one that is to be divulged to the public is divulged. That is their own work. Okay? That is what they are expected to do what to do. All right. Then we have the privacy policies. Now, every data controller or processor must ensure that it has clear and unambiguous privacy policies that are accessible and comprehensible by the data subject. These policies are to be consciously uh, drafted to meet the requirement, okay? Requirement of Act 2.5 of the NDPR, okay? So what that means is that there are some policies that need to be drafted that explains the fact that client information at your disposal as an organization cannot be published to the public without seeking their consent, okay? Then we have the database security and cyber defense. Okay. Now, what this one does is what they do is that they ensure that um, the information at your disposal as an organization is well secured. For instance, you have the right antivirus, you have the right intrusion detection devices, you have the right intrusion prevention devices. All these are um, cyber security management tools, okay, that you can use to prevent leakage or hacking into your what? Into your records or into your information, okay? Then they also conduct internal data protection training, okay? They conduct internal data protection training. That is, they organize trainings for appointed staff, okay? Most importantly, auditors, accountants, HR, they also try to explain to them. For instance, in an organization where you have, when you join some organization, they will give you what is called non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Okay, non-disclosure agreement. What that means is that whatever, when you are leaving this organization, anything that information that you obtain from here, you cannot replicate it in another place. You understand what I'm saying? So any sensitive information that you got to know or you were able to obtain in that organization, when you are leaving, you cannot use it against the organization. That would be by non-disclosure agreement. Okay. So what they are saying is they will be staff will be trained, especially HR. HR department, they are the one that manage human capital. Sometimes they undergo employment test, and when the staff undergo employment test, sometimes the staff will be HIV patient or HIV positive patient. So that information should not be out. They should not say, don't meet with this staff. Oh, he has HIV. There should be a way to manage such information. You understand what I'm saying? So those are some of the things that will be done. Then they also have the data protection impact assessment. Okay. So from time to time, they are going to review, okay, all the information at their disposal with their clients, with all the clients that have registered with the what under the Nigerian Data Protection uh, Act, okay, or agency or regulation. So they are going to carry out an assessment to see what's the level of compliance, or what are the challenges that these organizations are facing, okay, in trying to handle some of this. And when there are breaches, when there are data breaches, they also explain the procedures on how to resolve those breaches. Okay. So that is that about the NDP, or Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. Any question, comment, observation? Any question, comment, or observation? Are we good?
Yes, sir. We are good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your prompt response. Let's go to the last aspect, um, which is this aspect, the application of digital forensics in fraud investigation. Okay. Okay. I think we still have one more class after this. That will be, I think, will be next week. That we have the assurance services. We are going to look at that. We are not done. And I said we are getting close. Okay. So we have one more class, which is the assurance services. We are going to have it next week. Okay. So in that class, we'll be looking at forensic accounting. So what is forensic accounting? Or what do you mean by forensic? Now, forensic is any information obtained that can be presented in a court of law. That is forensic. Any information obtained that can be presented in the court of law is known as what? Forensic. Now, let's now bring it down to digital forensic. Now, digital forensic will come up from the use of IT. Okay, we come up from the use of what? IT. Now, in IT, there's what we call digital forensic, or we call it digital footprint. There's no way you're going to access um, the internet that you not leave your footprint there. That people will not know that you have accessed this website. There's no how. Even if you use incognito mode. Incognito mode means you are hiding your identity in using the internet, right? Some people will still be able to find out if you have really accessed some of this information. All right. So let me try to break it down. When you talk about digital forensic, let me take an instance of Hush Puppy. We all know Hush Puppy, Abbas Ibrahimola, okay? That guy that was that social media influencer that was caught in Dubai and was extradited to US, where he's currently serving J10. J10 will soon end. How were they able to get him? He was caught because they were able to what? Trace his activity on the net. If you see that when he was arrested, some of the charges against him is that they said that he has to make what? Retribution to those people that he stole money from. All those um, charitable organizations in US that he diverted their funds. All those retirement homes that he diverted their funds. Okay? They were able to get hold of him. Why? Because they were able to access his footprint on the internet. Okay? They were able to access his footprint on what? On the internet. There was a new chairman in Anambra State when they had this local government election that upon his winning the local government election, the US government came after him and he was extradited to US to go and answer to questions of what? Fraud and scamming and scam. Okay? How were these people caught? They were caught because they were able to have access to their what? Digital footprint. So there's no way you are going to access the IT, the internet, that you not leave your footprint. We call it digital breadcrumbs. We call it what? Digital breadcrumbs. It's like when you eat bread, now there's no way you're going to eat bread. That you not have crumbs on the table. There's no how. Or cake. Okay? Now, those crumbs that you have on the table can point out or can highlight whatever has been done or what areas you have touched. You understand what I'm saying? So if you see those breadcrumbs now, for instance, if they want to catch a thief or a killer, maybe not in Nigeria yet, but a killer in the abroad, what they just need to do is just to get his DNA sample how can they get the DNA sample? By just taking a swab of his saliva, or they wait for the guy to go to a tea shop to go and have a cup of tea. What they just do, when he dumps the cup on the table, somebody will be at the back end, will quickly come and do what? Take up the cup and do what? Analyze it. All of this is made possible now because of the advancements in what? Digital forensic technology. All right. So digital forensic is the process of identification, extraction, and preservation. Okay. And examination and analysis of digital information, which can be admissible as evidence in the court of law. Okay. It can be further defined as the science of finding admissible evidence from electronic media, such as computer, mobile phones, network, and servers. Okay. So digital forensic could be applied in many fields, but most of this global application is in the area of resolving suspected crimes, such as what? Fraud investigation. I hope you have seen it now. That's why I gave that initial preamble. Okay. So some of the cases where digital forensics could be applied include fraud investigation, intellectual property theft, like the case of Mercy Chinwo, right? And our music manager. There's a case that is on now between Mercy Chinwo, that gospel singer, and our music manager. All right. We have bankruptcy investigation, forgery, inappropriate use of corporate internet. All right. Industry espionage. What do you mean by industry espionage? Every organization or big organizations, they make use of this industry espionage. So what they do is that they are going to plant some of their allies in their competitors' organization. Why did they plant their allies or their staff with this to go and work secretly in their competitors' organization? Is able to extract sensitive information that they can use against their competitors in the market so that they have an upper hand, or try to increase their market share in the market. We call it industrial espionage. It's used everywhere, right? Especially the big organizations. Where they are what? Contract disputes. Okay? So what this digital forensic practitioner will do is that they will be able to do what? Identify, collect, analyze, and safeguard digital evidences. That's what we call, you must keep proper chain of custody. Chain of custody means that those information that he has obtained, he must secure them such that they are not tampered with. Okay? So that they are not what? They're not tampered with. So for you to carry out digital forensic, you must be a certified fraud examiner, CFE. Okay? You must be a certified fraud examiner where you have been trained on how to unravel fraud. All right? Now, some of digital forensic techniques enhances the auditor's capability in the following ways. Number one, so these are some of the benefits of digital forensics to the auditor. Digital forensics assists the auditor to identify, extract, analyze, and preserve computer evidences and related materials in order to present them as evidence in a court of law. All right? It helps to suggest the motive behind the crime and the identity of those involved. Then it helps the investigator to ensure that the digital evidences obtained at the crime scene are not corrupted. That was the main chain of custody. Then it helps in recovery of what? Deleted files and deleted partitions from digital media. So even if you have deleted some files, there are some software you can use. They can use to recover those deleted files. You have deleted, you are sent to the recycle bin, they can still be retrieved. Extraction of digital evidence and validate them. It also helps the auditor to identify the evidence quickly because you have been trained on how to navigate, okay, the evidences. Then facilitate the preparation of a computer forensic report, which offers a complete report on the investigation process. And lastly, to preserve the evidence by following the chain of custody. I mean, so what the chain of custody is, the information that is at your disposal as an auditor from being tampered with, okay? So digital forensic also support the objective of a fraud investigation case. So what it does is that as a digital forensic practitioner, when you use digital forensic, it will enable you to ascertain the actual time the fraud started or commences. Be able to determine the amount that has been lost, be able to identify those involved in the fraud, be able to determine the locations where the fraud was perpetrated, be able to identify the control lapses that made the fraud possible, be able to obtain evidence acceptable in the court of law. All right? So what the processes of digital forensics are: planning the work. You have, just like the way you do your normal audit, you have to plan the audit. All right? That means you have to understand the processes and how the processes could be what? Could be breached. All right? In planning the audit, you'll be able to, you'll be able to have an understanding on the purpose of the investigation. You need to talk about the resources required. Then you need to look at what evidence are present, their locations, and how they are what? They are stored. That is the format they are stored. So the first one is the planning of the work. Second one is collection and preservation of evidence. So as a forensic auditor or practitioner, you collect the available information, isolate them in a secure place, okay? So that they cannot be what? Cannot be tampered with. Then you document, the next thing is documentation and imaging. The auditor creates a record of all available data. A crime scene needs to be properly documented with photography, image sketching, and mapping techniques. What that means is that when a fraud is being committed, right, there will be need to ensure that there is enough photograph of the aspect of the business that is affected by the fraud. Okay. In some instances, when a crime has been committed, you might need to, the person, maybe you don't have the passport of that person, but if the victim is able to physically describe how that person is, like we don't always see in CSI, crime scene investigation movies, okay? Especially in the abroad, where they say that, oh, who is that person that committed the rape? Oh, can you describe the person? A dark, a black, a yellow, a white, you always see that description there. So that is what they mean by that. Then the next one, after you have documented and the image, the next stage is to go to what? Examination of what? Document. So the auditor will now inspect and evaluate each document in detail, one by one, okay, to be sure that it assists him in reaching his what? An acceptable conclusion, okay? This is likely to include the use of advanced tools for data extraction and analysis, okay? Then the next area or the next process is reporting. After he has examined the document, the forensic auditor will prepare his report, and his report will contain the procedures employed and the conclusions reached. Then at the end of the audit, the auditor will return the information and devices used to the original location. All right, it will take copies of them, but it will return to the what? The original location. Okay. So for instance, now let's now apply this digital forensic to an organization where they have ghost workers. So what would the auditor do? What are ghost workers? These are fictitious employees that are included in the payroll, right? They are fictitious employees included in the payroll that they collect salary at the end of the month and they are not staff of the organization, right? So how will the forensic auditor embark on this forensic to identify or to unravel the ghost worker? Number one, the auditor will obtain the necessary approval from the chief executive officer of the company to commence the assignment. Number two, you will gain an understanding of and map the workflow for payroll transactions in the organization. You need to look at how the payroll process operates. They will make arrangements to procure adequate storage space, possibly in terabytes, and create folders for each evidence. That's the explanation. It's going to obtain evidence, information. You must have enough space to store them, right? Then you will obtain and scan all hard copies of payroll information in PDF format. All right. Then you identify all the electronic devices used in processing payroll within the organization. Electronic devices means the biometric devices, okay, if they have it, or if they have a clocking machine, okay, if they have it. So these are some of the information that is going to serve as a source of information to the forensic auditor. You will collect all electronic devices used and manually tag all evidence items with an assigned case number. Ensure all hard drives are connected to right blocker. So what that means is that nobody should be able to overwrite what is stored on the hard drive, on the external hard drive. You must, this is a like a software that you use to protect against what? Overwriting the information you have on what? On the hard drive. But once you overwrite it, and once you modify it, that means it becomes non-tenable, cannot be used as an evidence any longer. Okay. Then the auditor will use audit software such as ACN, audit command language, that match the names on monthly payroll transaction files to the name of the master file. So the auditor will use the audit software, okay, to be able to analyze the various names to be sure that there are no duplicates, to be sure that there are no fictitious names, okay? So there is a master file that keeps the authentic staff of the organization. So any other name that is not found on the master file is assumed to be what? A ghost worker, all right? Then the editor will extract the event log of each device and ascertain any unusual activities and investigate further. So, for instance, in some organizations, apart from you having the biometric devices or the clocking machine, you also have CCTV camera. So the editor will look at the CCTV footage. Okay. For instance, maybe there are sometimes you see some people that come and clock in when the securities are gone, just to clock in that yes, they are staff. All of these footages to be captured by the CCTV that will later be analyzed by the auditor. All right. Then the auditor will run command searches on the payroll data. Keywords such as delete, variance, no approval, difference, IAC, sack, leave. Okay. These are some of the keywords you'll be looking for. Okay. Obtain and review the email message of payroll staff, surveillance video, and CD available. See, that is explanatory. So that is that. We now look at advantages of digital forensics. One, it could be used to ensure the integrity of a computer system. And it will tell you whether the computer system has not been compromised or not. It guarantees speed and accuracy of information because of the IT technology. It could lead to reduction in global crime rates, especially in jurisdictions with advanced digital forensic technology. It produces the strongest evidence in the court, which can lead to the prosecution and conviction of the suspect, because those evidences cannot be denied. Just like what happened to Hush Puppy. You could not deny those evidences brought before him or leveled against him. Okay? Then it efficiently tracks down cyber criminals through their digital footprints from anywhere in the world. I just explained what that one means, okay? It could help to protect the organization's money and valuable time because you are using what? Advanced IT technology, okay? Disadvantages. These are the disadvantages of it. Number one, the tools used in conducting forensics are expensive because they are mostly dominated in foreign currency. So you have to convert it to naira. You spend so much money. Digital evidences presented in court of law could be easily thrown out if it appears to have been tampered with. That is the essence of the protection of what? The information, which I call the chain of custody. All right. The next one is producing electronic record and storing them is costly. Most times you want to store in the cloud, or most times you want to store on magnetic tapes, or you want to store in external hard drive. All these are expensive, especially those ones in terabytes. Those are big storage spaces, okay? Some judges and lawyers do not have a good understanding of computer systems. So what that means is that there's a knowledge gap between some lawyers when they are trying to make a case for digital forensic, when there's a fraud involved in the computer. Sometimes the lawyers that is defending the government or defending the accused, they don't have a good understanding of how the computer system operates. Okay? If the tool used for digital forensic is not according to specific standard, then in the court of law, the evidence can be rejected. So there is a specific format the information needs to adopt. It does not fit into that specific format. The court cannot admit it as what? As an evidence in the court of law. Okay? The investigation officer might lack the needed technical knowledge, which could affect the desired conclusion adversely. So just like the lawyers too, the investigating officer, that is the forensic auditor, if he does not have good technical knowledge, that case might be thrown out in the court. Okay? The case will be thrown out in the court. So these are some of the challenges faced by auditors in using digital forensic techniques. Number one, proliferation of different types and brands of personal computers and mobile phones. What that means is that because of the different types of computers and mobile phone that is available, right? It makes it cumbersome for the auditor to be able to implement what is called the digital forensic. Why? For some of those brands, they are not compatible with these digital forensic tools. Okay. Most modern devices have huge amounts of storage capacities as data could be stored in terabytes. So what that means is that most devices have huge amount of data capacities and that could be stored in terabytes. It means that that is a challenge. They can store information. So when they store it in terabytes, that means the more the space the information takes or occupies, the more time the editor will spend. Okay. Wide availability of advanced hacking tools for deleting digital information. There are some software that help to do what? They can be used to permanently delete digital information that might be used as evidence. Okay. Speed of technology innovations and changes. So what that means is that before you say Jack Robinson, the existing technology has what? Has been phased out. Okay, the existing technology has been done what? Has been phased out. Remember there was a time when we use your laptop. Your laptop is on Pentium 1, Pentium 2, Pentium 3. Whether you are talking about Core i5, Core i6, Core i7. You get what I'm saying? So the technology keeps advancing. As it keeps advancing, is a major challenge to digital forensic. Okay. So that's for digital forensic. So apart from in trying to carry out digital forensics, right? As an auditor, you need to be very mindful and be to possess the right skill set, be able to manage the information at his or her disposal. Okay. So that is that. Any question, comment? Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is robotic process automation. Robotic process automation. I've talked about it today, just in passing. Now, there are some tasks to the auditor that are repetitive. Okay? So those tasks that are repetitive, rather than for auditor to be spending quality time on working on those repetitive tasks can be handled by what? By a process, an automation process. So that the auditor can focus on more important aspects of the what of the audit, rather than focusing on those rudimentary areas. So you carry those ones to the automation process automation, and later we focus on what? On the key strategic areas. Mind you, the robotic process automation has not come to replace the auditor because there are some the robotic process automation cannot take decision. Okay, does not have the capacity. or capability to take decision. We can only put forward options. So is the only the auditor that has what? The power to make what? Decisions. That what makes it different. Okay? So there are some tasks that are repetitive. Some of them is data preparation and entry, data inputting. They are repetitive tasks. They don't do that every time. Integration of data for multiple files. That one is also another issue. They do that every time. You want to move one file from one C drive to D drive or from C drive to hard drive. Manual importation of data-related data into separate sheets and other software. So they manually input, they copy information from one spreadsheet to another, okay? Copy, pasting, and sorting data on spreadsheet. These are routine tasks, okay? Perform basic audit tests such as recomputation, analytical procedures, and inventory count, okay? So these are some of the tasks that are what that are repetitive that the robotic process automation has come to what to handle, while the auditor focus on all areas of the business. Okay. Then we have the next one, drone technology. What is drone technology? To use drone technology, you know the drone now. When they are having occasion, that drone that object that flies around, okay, like a small aircraft. So we can also use this as auditors during stock take. There are some warehouses that are very, very big and they stack up to the what? To the beam. The auditors cannot climb because it could be dangerous. So what do? They use what? Drone. They will deploy drone to go and take the stock at those high level places and come back and the auditor will do what? Will record it. In fact, there are some smart glasses that can also be utilized. Okay. Once you wear that an auditor, you can take an estimate of what number of what of cartons or of items that are kept in a place. We call it smart goggles. Okay. I think KPMG is the one that deployed that. All right. KPMG. This is it here. Smart glasses. This is it. Okay. The devices during the pandemic era. So I've talked about this. I think we are done with this, right? I think we are done with this. So next class, we're looking at assurance services. I purposely save it for the last because that area is one area that is also frequently tested by the examiner. And that's why I save it to the last. So we are going to deal with that next class, okay? So before we go, does anybody have any question, comment, observation? Question, comment, observation? Are we good? Let's see if you can see any question on this aspect that we've talked about. Okay? Is there any question, comment, observation?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just hold on. I'm trying to see a question. If there's no question, that means you might be expecting a question from that aspect in the hold on. I think I saw one. Okay, let me see this. It's not a question. Just talked about it there. I'm coming. Question. Just hold on. Let me share this question with us. This is 2019. 2019, I think is November 2019. Okay. This is a question, even though might not be too related, but it's just a question that relates to IT that we have talked about. Okay. So let's quickly look at it. Hope you can see my screen. Yoga Limited is one of your audit clients. The company is into e-commerce, procuring and selling goods online to interested buyers in and outside the country. The company also delivers goods sold to the buyers. Furthermore, the company provides an online platform for third-party sellers not affiliated with the company, to sell goods to interested buyers. The interest in online trade has increased and the business is flourishing. The payment system has been outsourced to ID Limited, a third-party payment company. The audit of the company for the year ended 31st December 2018 is about to commence, and some members of the team are new to the engagement. As the audit manager, you have decided to brief them on what they need to know about the engagement required. Explain the elements of audit approach that an auditor should deploy in auditing an e-commerce system. B, explain management responsibility with regards to the risks that arise from e-commerce system. C, sometimes in an outsourcing situation, the external supplier controls the information for which the figures in the general ledger are obtained, and the audit client might hold none of the information. All right. So this is a question. So the next area, discuss the issue. Okay, so let's just look at the first three. These are the ones that relates to what we have done. Okay. Because of time, let's go to the solution. Okay. So that we try to understand how to go about answering this question in examination. Okay. This is it. So the element of audit approach to an e-commerce system should include the following. Number one, the auditor should decide whether or not the engagement should be accepted or not. That's the first thing. Okay, it needs to be whether he has an understanding of the business. That would be the first thing. Okay. Second one, the auditor should then plan the engagement. An important aspect of planning may be to make available audit staff with appropriate expertise in e-commerce system. Three, the auditor should obtain a detailed knowledge of the client business. I said that should be number one. Number four, you should consider liaising with the internal auditors of the client if there had been internal audit investigation into the client's e-commerce transactions or system. The auditor should identify and evaluate the risk in the system. All right. You should ascertain and evaluate the control environment and specific internal controls that are in operations. Next one, it may also be appropriate to perform a going concern review, particularly in the case of entities that rely mainly on e-commerce activities for their revenue. So how do you know? How do you carry out the going concern test? For instance, if the receivable balances has doubled in the past 1 year, that means that the bulk of the money that should have been received as revenue is tied up somewhere in the hands of the what? Of the customers. So that means the company is currently experiencing shortage of cash flow or cash flow deficit. All right, that's how you know. The B part, as in all risk situations, management should evaluate the risks to which the entity is exposed and take appropriate action to manage those risks. The other approach that should be taken by management include management should carry out risk assessment exercise on a regular basis. Management should create an appropriate control environment, including an information system security policy. Appropriate control environment here means that they must have the right policies, procedures in place, okay, and they must also have a good accounting system in place to record all transactions and post them appropriately, okay. The entity should make appropriate use of an internal audit function to obtain assurance that e-commerce system is functioning very well. So the audit department will review the transactions that are being performed on by the e-commerce, okay? In the e-commerce, okay? Then there should be adequate audit trail for e-commerce transaction, just like for easy traceability. That's what we mean by the audit trail. Okay, be able to know who does what, who modify information on the e-commerce system. Okay, the entity should keep an up-to-date backup copies of data files. So they must keep backing up in case of what, to avoid any disruption, loss of data. All right. For some system, it may be appropriate to use encryption for data. Encryption involves the electronic conversion of data into a secure code language for transmission so that it will be incomprehensible to anyone that intercepts it in transmission. What do you mean by encryption is that you convert that file that can be seen, into a file that can only be deciphered, only be understood by the people that are using that information. So when they transmit the information via email, those people that normally want to sniff on packets on email that is being transmitted, right? They will not be able to see it because the information has been properly encoded. Okay, it's been what? Encoded. So they will not be able to see it. So when it gets to the receiving end, there are key. They have some pass key or password that they will use to do what? To decode the information. So let me explain what I mean by decode. Now, if you go to your bank, when you go to your email, they send you your bank statement, right? Most time when they send your bank statement, what do they put there? Once you click on your bank statement, does it normally open? At a click, the answer is no. They will tell you that you put what? The 6 digits of your what? Of your account number. So that's what it means. So if anybody does not have your account number, they cannot access your bank statement. Something like that. That's what they mean by encryption. That one is the smallest, is a minute form of what? Encryption. Okay? Just want you to understand that, all right? So you have seen that question now. So that is so there are other questions you need to what? You need to lay your hands on. Okay, you can lay your hands, you can practice as many questions as possible on the what, from the pathfinder, past questions. Okay, try and solve as many as possible. Now that we are almost rounding up with advertising and assurance, I want to be that you have enough time to consolidate your reading. Okay, and plan adequately for that reading for this exam that's forthcoming come May. All right. So I hope I'll be able to do justice to this chapter. Are we all on the same page? Are there questions? Are there comments? Are there observations?